Them man there, ain't nothing like them man there. My man, I stand up, give them man chairs. Them man there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is For the Culture TV, and my name is Richard Blackwood, and this is
Jason Barrett, aka J Movie Man, in the building.
This episode is going to be amazing, just like the rest. Every time we do an episode, we always try to surpass. Not that the guests weren't great, you were all, we love you all, but it's all about progression, okay? And we always want to reach back and get people on here that have got a forum, but we want to make sure that they're seen by the masses, okay? And this next person that Jason's going to introduce definitely deserves that and more.
See, I've been looking forward to interviewing Donny for ages, trust me. So I am so pleased that he blessed the set, that he came through, showed some love. Ladies and gentlemen, Raspect Official. My brother.
Nothing but love and guidance, you know, go.
Yeah, man. So glad to have you on board, my brother. You know what I mean? Because this is the kind of platform. The platform's just about, it's for us, by us. And, you know, we've had some good names come through. We've had Robin Walker come through. We've had Andrew Muhammad come through. And really just kind of trying to talk to the youth, trying to talk to the adults. So I'm going to start with the G-A-N-G. I want you to break down the G-A-N-G movement. You know what I mean? The self-help group, however you call it. So gang, talk to me about gang.
Gang.
I see the rest of the thing as well. I see what.
Yeah, we're there. So gang's guiding a new generation. It's got other acronyms to it: Give Negus Guidance, Global African National Gathering, Generate a New Government. There was a couple different ones that Mandem came up with, but guiding the new generation's probably the most one out there. You know what I'm saying? But when we go to the ends, a lot of the brothers in the end love giving Negus guidance. You know what I'm saying? So. But yeah, gang is basically, it's organic, it's organic, should I say. In the sense that like you can literally watch it happen. For about 10 years, I've been a political activist. I'd say one of the very forthcoming moments for me was when Mark Duggan was killed.
Yeah.
I was very influential in the protesting. I was in the court right throughout the process. I was in Tottenham and every time when the people hit the roads. And as much as it was such a tragic event to see, you know, brothers who literally couldn't be seen in the same place, put their differences to one side and come together to advocate for justice, because that's what Mandem was advocating for, justice, you know what I'm saying? But obviously because of the police brutality of the 16-year-old girl, that now, let's say that there was a volcano effect, you know, and the lack of justice, you know what I'm saying? No justice, no peace. So I'd say that was one of the biggest, even though it wasn't formally called Guiding a New Generation, a lot of the voices of the streets at that time, that was a lot of the essence of gang. After that, I don't know if you know about the police stop and search video, but that was the first video of mine that went viral.
Okay, so talk to us about that.
Basically, police tried to stop and search me, but I'd been studying the law avidly for about a year, 2 years. So when they came to me, I understood that unless they see, smell, touch, or hear something that directly linked me to a crime, they actually, which is reasonable grounds, they're actually acting out of their own prejudice. And
I think I might have seen this video.
You probably have. It's in the park.
Okay, yes, I have seen it.
Yeah, it hit about 500,000, went all around the world.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the first thing. I went to Oxford University. I've been to Westminster University of Law. I've been to Goldsmiths and lectured in. I've debated police officers. I advocated for the getting rid of the Section 60. We had a big part of that. The area that we used to live in, the area that we first started operating in, just like far east. So when you get past Forest Gate and you get to Ilford and then you get to like Seven Kings, Chadwell Heath, them sides there, the police were stopping and searching people like every day, without fail. You know what I'm saying? Just coming through and stop and search, just try to find what they can. But after that video, the young G's around me before that, they weren't really listening. I was trying to tell them about the law. You know when you're trying to tell your brethren something, but they ain't really taking it in, you get me? Like, but after that video, everybody took it in. You know what I'm saying? And then the young G started actually doing it. Like there was about 12, 13-year-olds that was actually asking police, "Are we obliged to speak to you?"
Right.
So they're using words like obliged now.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And the officers don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And basically, we fully stop and search in that area.
Wow.
Like police stopped coming around there on stop and search. Like I don't remember since that day, and since everyone started to get active. Like there was a time when loads of police tried to roll up on a brother's yard, and like I sent out one text and about 50 different youths turned up, but we didn't turn up on because normally we turn up for something else. You know what I'm saying? But we're turning up to go against the feds, you get me, and make sure everything's proper, you know what I'm saying? So that was a real like inception. And then after that you had, I say another big moment was Edson. Okay. When Edson was strangled in Beckton.
Right, yeah.
We hit the roads, Forest Gate to Stratford. She locked off the roads.
Let me pause you there. Because
I got a few questions.
Yeah.
We just like you to set it up first so we can.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna play Heaven's Advocate here.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. To me, the stop and search is directly, it's affecting us the most, but also the results of the knife crime. Also, my young son is more likely to be stabbed than
100%.
Any
100%.
other group.
Yeah, you're right.
So, isn't there a balance? Because if you're saying that we're going to get stop and search stopped completely.
No, what we're saying is there has to be reasonable grounds.
Okay.
That's all we're saying. They have things like Section 60, Section 44, like they have things called the Terrorist Act where they don't need reasonable grounds.
Okay.
They can actually racially profile. Now, the reason why the police actually walked away in that video that you saw is because I said I actually referred to them as terrorists. You understand?
That's right.
And I said, the officer said I was listening to you up until that point, but he actually knew what I was saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because basically the dictionary definition of terrorism, because when we think of this word terrorism, you know, the black people get stopped under the Terrorist Act the most. Yeah.
Okay.
The actual Terrorist Act. Okay. Is used on us the most, and then you have the image in the media is these Muslim people, you know what I'm saying? These terrorists, you know what I'm saying? That we got to watch out for. But like me personally, and this is just my experience, the only time I've ever been terrorized in my whole life has never been a woman in a niqab.
Yeah, it's true.
She never jumped out and went through my pocket. I swear down. I don't know if anyone else's experiences is different, you know what I'm saying? Because they're talking about banning the niqab, but no woman in a niqab has ever jumped out and tried to go through my pockets and take me and kidnap me and
it's true.
Yeah, for a little herb and all of these things. Yeah. So like that's like so for me, like when I'm talking about getting terrorized, you get me? There's no Asian man ain't run up on me and done nothing to me, you know what I'm saying? So that terrorist, obviously I know politically there's stuff going on, but I'm saying my experiences and my everyday life has never made me meet this guy that they're saying is out to get me, you know what I'm saying? But the guy who has actually terrorized me, and they terrorized me from I was a child, even before I had an understanding of law. You know what I'm saying? And these people are the people that are meant to be protecting and serving me. These people are they hold an oath to protect and serve me, but they treat me like I'm not actually part of that oath that they made. It's like they're meant to protect and serve this group, and this group has to be harassed and searched. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I looked at the dictionary definition of terrorism, it's when you try to enforce your own political agenda by intimidation or force. That's a dictionary definition of what terrorism is. Right. You trying to enforce your own political agenda by intimidation or force. So, and racial profiling, whether people like it or not, is a political agenda. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, that's a political agenda. Yeah. And when you're enforcing that political agenda of racial profiling by intimidation, so your intimidation is just the fact that you got the badge, not that you've got the powers to stop and search the person. Yeah. You're just intimidating the person. Right. Yeah. Yeah. With your badge, with your baton, with your CS gas, you're intimidating the person to believe that you've got powers that you don't actually have. And this is the problem with police. The problem isn't when they're stopping and searching people when there's reasonable grounds. If they've got intelligence, then we understand. Yeah. The problem is when they go up to someone that they don't actually have the right to stop and search. And because of their uniform, they make that person believe that they actually have the right.
You're not saying no stop and search.
No,
you're not saying, okay,
You're saying under the law, the skies of reasonable grounds?
100%.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but what they do is because a lot of people 12, 13, 14 don't actually have knowledge of the law, they use that to their advantage.
Understood.
Yeah, and they stop and search people when they have no right to. They get your name when they have no right to. If they stop and search you and you have nothing on you, you don't have to give your name.
Right.
Okay.
You have no legal obligation to give your name or your address. But a lot of the times when they speak to you, they'll put it across as if you do have to give your name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because if you're withholding, then...
and then they try, if you haven't got nothing to hide, it's got nothing to do with that. You just don't have the right to have that information.
Yeah.
And I have the legal right to decline that information. Do you know what I'm saying? So the racial profiling is a political agenda, and when they use the intimidation of the badge and the baton, and then they go to the next point, if you don't listen to them, of force.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, and we've all seen that.
We've seen it.
Yeah,
you understand?
Yeah.
So for me, when I'm articulating and saying that the terroristic ways, I'm saying from the dictionary, you've told me to look out for this terrorist. You've educated me. Yeah, I didn't know anything about terrorists. You've told me I've got to look. So I looked in the dictionary and I looked for what because I needed to know the definition of this guy I'm looking for that is out to get me. You know what I'm saying? I've got to know how to protect myself out here. You know what I'm saying? Because you're stopping me under the terrorist act. So I want to know what political agenda I'm trying to enforce by intimidation or force.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when I looked into that dictionary definition, and then I looked into my own personal experiences, maybe someone else has had other, like I said, maybe someone else has been beaten up by 4 women in niqabs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell you that the other person, that they haven't been through that. You know what I'm saying? They haven't really had to fight. But I'm saying my experiences has been the only time I've been terrorized, the only time when my humanity, you know what I'm saying, I've been put on the floor and beaten for my name when they didn't have no right to have my name. You know what I'm saying? The only time when I've been mistreated, you know what I'm saying, is by these people who they're telling me are here to protect and serve me. And then when I say cops are the ops, which means cops are the opponents, which means they're the other side, you know what I'm saying, because of the way I've been treated, they say I'm making such a controversial statement.
Well, I want to add to that. So then, because you have taken such a stance, which to me personally, I more than commend. I think that we need more people. Like my son is 18 years old. I would like him to study the law in the same way that you did, so he knows his rights. Because he's from Hackney. He's growing up in a time where you know what it's like out there.
100%.
Right, do you know what I mean? So I think that's more than commendable and very important. Has it made you a quote unquote target for the police? Because you're upsetting the system.
I think this is where social media, I think, plays a big role. And I think the community plays a big role, because what I actually realised is police actually have a respect for me that they don't give to any of my peers.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe there's a operation going on in the background somewhere where but I'm very clean.
Yes.
You understand? Like I know the job that I'm here to do. You understand? So there, unless you're gonna chump something, you understand?
Exactly.
Then there's no way you can get me. I have no intentions of harming or hurting anyone. I'll protect my community and protect mine. You understand? Build up my community and build up mine. You understand? But I have, so there's nowhere they can really get me. And then on a level of actual intellectual discourse, they know when I speak to them, they know I know the law more than them, 9 times out of 10, because they don't have to actually know the law. They get fast tracked because they need police.
Yes.
So they don't really have to do the due process of actually studying their laws to actually know them. Maybe you get the sergeant, he'll know. So when the sergeant comes over and I'm talking to him, he's having to tell the others, look, fall back, fall back. Especially if the camera's at full back, it's long. It's long, this one's long. Yeah, avoid this one. Yeah, not this one. Let's go for someone else.
This one.
Yeah.
Heard about you.
Yeah.
Guys in the van.
Yeah, they know, even that, they know, and they know who I am, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously I've been on the BBC.
Of course.
I've been on the,
I've seen you on the news. I've seen you talking to Sadiq Khan.
They know who I am.
Yeah.
But the reason why I put such an emphasis, that's what comes back to gang. Because as you said, there's still an issue in the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of self-hate and us fighting each other.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to say we do advocate against police brutality. Remember Edson, that was a death. To Mark Duggan, that was a death. Outside of that, we're not really going at the police. Our main thing is for us as the
Yes.
elders to come together and change this thing for the next generation and set a better example. But but another important thing about us is we actually come with the solutions where, and the BBC and all of these groups out there and everyone getting funded, they don't have the solutions. Because they're not speaking to the streets. Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree. And there's two things there. All right. So one thing, I think that there's an agenda. Personally, I believe that if as many young white boys or even Asian boys were getting stabbed and killed like the young black boys, there'd definitely be something done by
Scotland.
Government.
Look at Scotland.
Right.
I was going to say
perfect example.
Rehabilitation. See, the thing is, like, with these youth, they put some humanity on them. And they realise that, you see, if you put someone in jail, and then when they come out of jail, there's no opportunities, yeah, then that person is going to go right back to jail. You've got cousins, I've got cousins.
Yeah, straight.
You see it?
Yeah.
You see the man come out and say, yeah, he's gonna get a job and he's gonna try to do better, and then you see him try, and it's like everywhere the system's hitting him up because of that. So it's like they're still dragging him down. In Scotland, they made sure that they put the time and the effort into actually, when people come out, being actually able to move on and actually be able to provide for a family. Okay. See, this is the problem about the society we live in. Even if you haven't got a criminal record, sometimes it's hard to provide for your family. £7 an hour, how do you survive in London?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. London
how do you survive?
Yeah.
So I'm not really with I'm not really with the whole political system, but they do make my ears tingle a bit when I hear Corbyn talking about £10 hour minimum wage.
Right.
Because I know that would actually solve a lot of the issues, that would have a lot of brothers working and being able to provide, and a lot of men would not be going to another lifestyle. Another thing is the mindset, because everyone's dealing with these knives. The knives is not the issue, and it's commendable to search your children before they go home, before they go out.
As the parents,
but like these half-bit solutions that everyone claps for on Newsnight, it really, really annoys me. People are, what parents need to do is they need to search their children's bags before they leave the house. I ain't changing nothing, because all I got to do is ring Jerome and tell him, yo, bring the thing. As they,
Jerome.
God, just tell
There's always a Jerome.
I beg you, bring the
Jerome
thing.
is the handler.
All I gotta do is learn from my mistake. If you can catch me once, yes, but you gotta deal with my mentality.
Facts.
Because
Absolutely.
end of the day, if you don't need a knife. Yeah, if someone wants to harm someone, they could use a fire extinguisher, they can use a hammer, they can use a rock, they can use their bare hand. If the mentality, my mentality is to harm you, guys don't kill people, people kill people.
Facts.
Yeah, but they're dealing with the object. Well, the object is secondary, you know what I'm saying, to the mentality. You understand? So we got a zone in on the mentality, and we see the mentality in sociology. You know, they study the study of society, sociology. They see that if you have poverty, then you're gonna have crime, and if you have crime, then you're gonna have violence, and if you have violence, then you're gonna have gangs. They know how this thing works.
Yeah,
they know exactly how it works. Like they have universities which break down.
No, you're right. You're right.
How this works.
But Ras, check this.
But yet they still have the actual societies that create the problems exactly the same. They don't change they just take away the youth clubs. I don't understand. That something in my head doesn't click when you know that less youth clubs is going to cause more crime.
But don't you think that's because that's what they want? Don't you think that it I don't mean to cut your question.
Sorry, my
But you cut him.
It's our little thing. And he cut you, right? But don't you think that therefore that is part of the agenda? Because we know, we've said it time and time again, that in certain sectors, this problem couldn't be a problem because economically, they can't handle that. But with us, our economics and what we bring to the infrastructure, they don't see us as something to bet on. It's like we are dispensable. Does that make sense? Disposable, should I say?
100%.
Right? So how do we, I guess that's a question for you, how do we get to our young youth knowing that the system doesn't want to help them? It wants, if anything, it wants to encourage them. They want to make it look as if they're helping by saying, search your kids before blah, blah, blah. But as you rightly said, if the mindset is already that I want to harm, then I'm going to do that. Also, the mindset is if I'm out there and everybody else has got knives, I might want to carry one just to protect myself, right? Because there is that mindset
100%.
too.
That is a real, because end of the day, yeah, you know your auntie saying, don't carry a knife. You see, like, in situations, like, you see real life and the fairy,
Yeah.
the practical, and the theory
Yeah.
are two different things.
Facts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly.
And people love to talk the theory, but there's people that live in the practical. They live on an estate where when they go shop for their mum, someone could run them down with a knife.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, that's what they're really living in right now.
Yeah.
So his whole mentality is going to be different from the person who's removed from that and looking in on these people stabbing each other and saying, look at these people stabbing each other. It's not that simple.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
So then my question to you is, how do you I guess, make this young generation not self-hate?
I think it comes down to a lot of things. I think understanding history, especially history before slavery, is a big part.
Massive, massive.
Because our history, we're the only ones in this country that history starts at slavery, if you clock it.
It's true. We always say that,
Indians go back to, Hinduism, and you gave the world some of the oldest religions, and they go into the Chinese man thing and Buddhism, and you know what I'm saying? They take themselves back to, you know what I'm saying? But then when you get to our history, it starts at slavery, which is a
Deficit.
yeah, it's a big disrespect because obviously, you got the oldest bones.
Yeah.
You got the place
Yeah,
where most of the world would agree that life started.
Facts.
You've got the place where the richest man that ever lived, his name was Mansa Musa.
Facts.
From a place called where they called it Mali, them sort of areas there. He done a hijrah from Mali all the way to Saudi Arabia. And back, you understand, and he threw off the Egyptian currency when he went through, and we know that time the trade amongst North Africa was very strong. So for you to come from West Africa and throw off the Egyptian currency and to be the richest man that ever lived, you know the sort of empires that was existing. You have the Timbuktu, you have the Moors, and their presence in Spain. You have the oldest Bible in the world, which they don't talk about, the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, 800 years older than the King James Version.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the oldest Christianity, and funny enough, it's only Christianity that doesn't condemn you to hell if you don't believe exactly as they believe. They have something called theosis, where the only way to salvation is to live your life getting closer to God, which is a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
So pause. Yeah, you got too fast, man. You got too fast.
What I'm pointing out is that the greatness of our history before slavery gives us a sense of self-pride.
Absolutely. Listen, you get
I'd
no
say-
argument
I'd
from
say,
me.
I'd say that is a big starting point. I think a lot of the images of the Black Panthers and all of these concepts is a big part to it. We spoke about the politics, so we've got Brexit right now. You got Conservative, you got Labour. I think that if we had a better understanding of group economics, if we knew stuff like Black Wall Street and we'd really studied, we don't have to deal with the people, but studied the actual philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey, and we was able to actually execute them. Yeah.
But see, this is my question, Ras. This is my question. So, because you're going to get no argument from me. I
100.
fully agree with what you're
100,
saying.
100.
Education, I'm an educator. That's what I do. So, what you're saying is
100%.
right and exact.
I'm even going into the economics. I'm saying whether it's Brexit, whether it's Conservative, whether it's Labour, if we've got an internal, we've got the internal community, because remember, over time, we've lost our community element.
Facts.
And I'm saying if we was able to retain that to a certain degree, it wouldn't matter whether it's Conservative or Labour. It wouldn't matter if it was Brexit or not. I don't think the Jews in Stamford Hill care too much about who's in power. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they've still got hospitals, still got their own police service, they've still got they've got their own internal infrastructure. And I think it's important that our community.
But this is what I'm
takes note of
asking.
that.
This is what I'm asking. So is gang addressing these issues? Because from an outsider looking in, obviously I love the vibes in it. And what I also like is that the man them are talking the language of the man them. You get what I'm trying to say to you? So it's all very well, someone like Kwasi is conservative. We know the streets are not really going to, he's black, but the streets are not going to listen to, do you get what I'm saying? So the politicians speak a different language.
100%.
When I watch you, when I watch Jedi, the man them, Bugs, what you lot doing your thing in the streets, I hear the voice of the streets, so people can relate to that. But then my thing is there an organised infrastructure underneath that? Does that make sense?
I think that's time. I think we one of the reasons why you've seen a big. This interview is the first interview I've done. I've had like BBC, Channel 4, Vice. I've got all of them hounding me down, and I've had to just lock off it all because I feel like we've managed to get a lot of like outward promotion, like people can see us, but like we haven't been able to do, because we've been doing, we haven't been able to do the inside infrastructure. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's people like Rap Raven and individuals like that which have the mind, and we know that they've got the capacity. So within time, those things are going to be implemented.
Okay.
But that's not what's there yet. It's like we shone before we even knew. We was just out here just trying to help the youths.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah, of course.
Playing catch up with yourself,
100%. And differently, like, it's like everyone's got their own struggles as well. You know what I'm saying? So we're trying to do this, and then.
Well, you said something to me earlier that I loved. You saying that the man them are working on the community, but also working on themselves.
100%. Got broken people trying to fix the world. That's the concept that I use. Like, as in, a lot of the brothers who are trying to help the youths, they can relate to a lot of the stuff that the youths are going through, because it's the same temperaments, same mentalities. You know what I'm saying? Come from the same places. So as much as we're trying to help the next generation, a lot of the time we've also had to help each other and help ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And we need to get to a stage of individual independence to have the best impact on the community. You know what I'm saying? So that's the underground work that's being done right now.
They call me Kemet, they call me Rasta. None of them can't call man Kaffir. We had the one God concept when they didn't want to know about Allah. One God, one love, one order. Before anyone took the Shahada. So if man try to call me a Kala, tell them that I'm proud of my Kala. Man pray like our Father, who are in heaven with our mother. So I'm a child of God, no imposter. And I bow to no slave master. One God like Bilal. Plates I towel, that's more than halal. We was fasting and praying in Kush, them times there, man, I'd porking them out. Could they talk to me, them can't talk to me now about civilized me, you fooling around. Do you know what you're talking about? They don't know what they're talking. Hey, Rasta man don't bow to their idols, that's why Babylon's falling down. I had, you can call me Bilal. Taweed, you can call me Bilal.
We've seen how things have broken down. We've seen where maybe our generation, maybe the generation just before us, have even failed. Well, how old are you, Sophie?
I don't ever say.
Okay, well, all right.
But,
your generation and younger.
Yeah,
okay. We can see how we've failed you as well, right? As some of the parents, because some of the fathers had their fathers there, but yet they weren't fathers to their kids.
100%.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So we've seen it. We've actually seen how it's been broken down, because certain moral values that we had, which was innate because our grandparents or our parents, if our mums were single parents, our grandparents were right there. I was raised by my grandparents. So I called them mum and dad. So I didn't feel like I had lost out on anything. I still had that infrastructure that I needed, that family core. Then I had the cousins and the uncles that were all very hands-on. But then we saw that with our generation, and maybe because we didn't want to be so hard, or maybe we had a gripe about certain discipline that we had, but for some reason they kind of let go of the reins a bit, right? And then we've seen your generation get sucked in by society and what it's dictating, because they could see where it was going. It's like, okay, like you called it, you remember you did a sermon, you called it the Generation X. Right, where it seems like, and this is what I see, this is the reason why I'm going to bring it back to the question in a minute, but it seems as if there's the generation that's going to be, that they want to be forgotten. They want to be wiped out, and they want to kind of start again, if that makes sense. Because the new generation, let's say, not my son, maybe the younger generation underneath my son, they're more technical wizards. They're like, if you think about it, they're thinking about how to, even though it's wrong, but how to become millionaires by the time they're 21. They're thinking like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, but I'm just no.
Sound good.
No, it's good. It's good, but I
how
guess
they do it, I suppose.
there you go.
Yeah,
because it shouldn't be the key focus.
Right.
That's my thing. You know what I mean? Like, you pursue a dream and money should be secondary. It shouldn't be the key focus, because then you start to wonder what you would do for money. But I say this. Do you put this across in your message as well, in the sense that the guys that may be on the roads, it's like, let's say the younger ones that are looking up to the people on the road, to show them that it is a dead end now, because it is closing. They're trying to. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense what you're saying. It's a dead end, yeah. But then, like I said, it's the study of sociology. If you ain't got enough jobs for everyone, then this is just the reality.
Understood, yeah.
It's impossible to get rid of this unless we deal with this economic problem over here. If we don't deal with it, then you're always going to have this underworld. So now, it's, for me personally, like, I when I go to any one of the blocks, I go from block to block, you know what I'm saying? If I could go to Fields, you know what I'm saying? When in Chaos and them man are shooting a vid, or I could go to Boardwater Farm, chill with Abs and them man. You know what I'm saying? For the Duggan thing, you know what I'm saying? I went both of them in the same day, funny enough. So I went from Fields to Boardwater Farm, and like, there's a level of like brotherhood, loyalty, love that we've got like a level of community that we can't find anywhere else where we are in society. We're very much more, you know, we're very, there's a glass wall in between us everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? We connect, but there's this glass wall. I don't know what it is, I don't know why it is, but there's more like love. So I feel like that is something for me that needs to be maintained.
Understood.
But the problem is the mentality of killing each other. Like all of this could exist and we don't have to kill each other. Like we literally, do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes the media really does us the disservice because it's really a minority, of youths even that are in that poverty situation or in that road situation that are really violent.
Yeah.
Because if they was all violent, like say if all of them said they was gonna go out and kill someone today, how many deaths would that be in one day?
Yeah, there'd be, actually.
So they're not violent. You know what I'm saying? There's violent individuals, and when one violent individual goes to Tottenham right now, and if he sprays off a thing, it's gonna feel like the whole of Tottenham's violent.
Yeah, understood.
And we hear that news, when it comes back to us, it's just one guy.
Yeah.
One guy.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands of different guys doing different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And mainly, it's not this violence thing. You got a mentality where no one can't message you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you might even have a mentality where a man would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But the mentality of actually just wanting to go out there and harm, that is a minority. And when you actually zone in on that minority, you find out there's issues. There's either mental issues,
Straight.
or at home mum might have been on certain drugs, or mum might have had mental health, or mum might have had learning disabilities, or they might have been raising. There's always a story behind these individuals that go the extra mile, and that story is never really told. It's like shoved under the carpet, and they get the most worst mugshot of them, and they put it out there. But the death in Leighton the other day of the boy. The 14-year-old boy, it was a white-looking guy.
And they put the picture up of the white boy when he was like nice and good and proper, and it really upset me because at first I thought he never did it. Then when they showed him now you're like, no, he's a straight killer. Like call it what it is. He's a straight killer. He looks like that. That's what he does, right? Do you know what I mean? And whatever's turned him that way, but it's the fact that. And the media, once again, you're right, the media is to blame because it's like, murder is murder, right? A human life is a human life and it should be irrespective of colour or gender. But yet, this young boy was killed and you wanted to make sure that the killer was looked upon in a decent fashion. And it's like, but you, and it's like, okay, if that's the case, then keep the same energy.
Definitely.
That's all it is.
but obviously we know there's an agenda. We know that the media's got an agenda. We know that, you know what I mean? We know that the government's got an agenda. We understand this. When Andrew Mohammed came through, he said something poignant and it was very simple. The problems are in our community. The solutions are in our community.
100%.
You understand what I'm saying? And I think a lot of the time, looking outside of the community to people that are not the community, like you say, they're looking in.
They're looking in, trying to study us like, some specimens.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, real talk.
How
real
do we
talk.
make these cats?
Yeah. Navigate this maze.
Like they study wildlife.
Yeah.
Well, they did this over here. These statistics showed, but there's man that are living it.
Yeah, that's right.
We know where it is.
Literally,
we see Bugsy Malone go from rapping more about, violence and in the streets and what happened when he's environment, because we're products of our environment. Your environment looks like a jail cell. Your environment, if they spend less on cleaning your environment, because this is another myth, you know what I'm saying, that some areas are cleaner than other areas. No, go look at the cleaning budget for the area. Yeah, some areas they clean more often than other areas, and that creates a mentality of actually keeping the area clean.
Yeah.
If you go into a
Okay.
kitchen and the kitchen is clean, you're not going to want to create no mess. But if you
right.
go somewhere and there's already mess, if you go into a toilet and it's all a bit messy,
yeah.
you just want to get in there and get out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
true.
So,
Yeah.
so we're products of our environment. And the minute we saw Bugsy Malone's environment change, yeah, we started to see his lyrics change, the content change. He started to talk about different places. He started to talk about success. He started to talk about girls. Why? Because his environment changed. Now his lyrics changed. But they talk about the drill youths, but you have to change the environment first. I know it adds to the issue. But it's the egg and the chicken. Man are rapping about what they're living. What do you want them to do? Rap about Marcus Garvey and they don't know his name?
Well, here's another thing. See, why there's so much. All right, because obviously you're a musician as well. You do your music
100%.
thing. So talk to us about that, because I do feel like the chicken and the egg is the perfect example.
100%.
Because is it art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life? So then we get a kind of spiral thing.
100%.
You get what I'm trying to say to you?
Yeah.
So where do we then jump off? Because when we go back to the early years of hip hop, when we look at even the Rodney King beating, at the time, Fight the Power was the revolution was in hip hop. The
100%.
revolution was in music.
100%.
The revolution got taken out of music,
they've done
and
it,
we've
yeah.
seen a steady decline
100%.
amongst ourselves.
And there's a concerted effort to keep it out.
100%, because we know that the
gonna make the point I'm
music
gonna make,
industry has been co-opted by people that are not of the culture. You get what I'm saying? So what responsibility do you feel, a musician yourself, you understand me, and to the other musicians?
Well, they've created a horrible dichotomy for, let's say, because I wouldn't call myself a conscious artist, I call myself a real artist, because I kind of touch on
Certain things.
I touch on just real. Like sometimes the people that are conscious might not always find my thing conscious. You know what I'm saying? People that are some people that are in the streets might not always find my thing killy. You get me? I'm not just talking about murdering. So sometimes they find it conscious. You know what I'm saying? But then you just play it to the person over there and they don't find it conscious. So it's a weird one. But we're in a very tough situation because we're towing a thin line. On one hand, we know for a fact that as artists, we got me personally, this is a personal thing, I've got a responsibility when I write my lyrics.
100%.
I've got a responsibility to your sons and to our daughters and to the future generations. And music is timeless, so I want my music to be able to be played in 1,000 years and someone to be able to take something more than bubble butt personally. You know what I'm saying? That's a personal want that I have for my music. And music is very powerful. Our words are very powerful. Sometimes more powerful than we know.
Facts.
And we have a responsibility. Now the problem is the music industry has been set in a way where I know brothers who are really coming from the streets that have managed to better themselves. Man, that are rapping about drilling, but that's just a rap. That's just a commodity. Just like a man sells toothpaste and there's fluoride in it. You know what I'm saying? Or a man works in a pharmacy, but there's certain drugs that nitties take from the pharmacy. Like he's just rapping a commodity. Like a lot of them, they wasn't even expecting it.
Yeah.
They was just in the studio with their friends. Something got uploaded to YouTube. They hit 50,000 views and 100,000 views. Like they're 14, 15. They don't know what's going on. They're just popping off. But like they didn't plan for it, man. We was just messing about. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them came up like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to put a massive responsibility on them, knowing that, you know, I've got to set an example.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's an issue that I feel like the system set up. It's going to be conscious artists going against the street artists. So instead of the actual issues being dealt with, instead you've got me, or you could say, you know, the Logics or the Akalas and them brothers going at, you know, the Margses and, you know what I'm saying? You got brothers going at brothers. You understand? At the end of the day, it's just more division in our community, and the people who are actually influencing everything that's going on, they're free. They're to one side. So it's hard. That's where the difficulty is. So for me personally, I feel like I personally want to get to a stage where I'm setting an example. Yeah, I know that a lot of the drill artists have heard my music, like they mess with my music. You know what I'm saying? I get messages when you're releasing the next tune and this and that. So they're tuning in. I was on a panel with AM, Skengdo, Scraps, Young Spray, Leo Muhammad, and some other individuals. And AM and Skengdo, when the community was telling them how they feel about their music, you could see that they'd never really heard this before.
Okay.
Like, you could literally see that they was just literally oblivious. Do you know what I'm saying? We was just making tunes. It weren't that deep, auntie. I'm sorry. Like, you can see, man, he don't know what to do. Like, yeah, and these are big drillers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Respected in the hood, but the auntie, there was a humility that they had that I respected highly.
Yeah.
And in that thing, we spoke about Mansa Musa, and shortly after that, they made a track called Mansa Musa.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's up to us to set an example, and I want to set an example in a way that doesn't create us and them. Yeah. That's the difficult thing about the conversation, yeah, because I feel like it's much more, it's going to be much more, because I'm about being effective, and it's going to be much more effective for me to be able to contact and get in touch with my brothers, and then for my brothers to actually realise that we're not saying that you have to change your whole life overnight. We're saying, if you could give a message from what you've been through, because if man are really from where they're saying they're from, they've had to deal with death, they've had to deal with prison, they've had to deal with brothers being immigrated because of crime, yeah? We've dealt with the tolls of this thing, yeah? So I'm saying, if you love your little brother, if you love your little cousin, if you love your future son and your grandson, can you just help us to come together to put our message out for them? Because if we could get them to come together just on a state of the message, not unity but solidarity, that is going to be more effective amongst the streets and the youths on the streets than anything else we're going to try. No, because you can invest 100 million into this and that, but that movement there is going to actually, because the artists are the ones who speak to the streets. Every artist that is high up there is always highly connected to very influential people on the ground. Yeah, it always goes like that. Yeah, the artist in the area is always connected to, and they always kind of roll together. Yeah. So if you can get to the artist, you're gonna get to the influential people. You get to the influential people and the artist, and you get some form of solidarity from wide elements. You understand? Then I feel like that is gonna be much more effective than me going back and forth with this guy in Instagram in his comment section about his lyric. You know what I'm saying? But there is levels. When a man starts talking about a man's mum grieving and then things there, that's when it stops for me. Right. That's when. So the times when your lyrics go too far, you understand, and man have to call it out, because it's sick. You know what I'm saying? And it's a sickness that they have. You know what I'm saying? And it's normally, one person pushes 1 mile, then the next one pushes the next mile, and the next one pushes the next mile. So I don't think it's always even malicious, as malicious as it sounds to us. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it needs that needs to be heavily condemned. And then you have people like Giggs who does. You know what I'm saying? He's a pioneer, in this landlord. I live in his house, I pay rent, And when it's time, he goes and he talks the things on them. You get me? He tells them, "Yo, you lot, chill out. All this in each other. I want to be able to support you lot, but it's too much."
That's what I guess you've covered it. But that's the point. I guess Jason and myself are making is that. One thing that we learned from the Americans when it came to hip hop, I mean, don't get it twisted. We devised our own form of hip hop through jungle and garage and then grime and so forth. So we created our own wave, right? But the influence of hip hop was very strong worldwide, as we know. Now, obviously, of my generation, like a friend of mine, right? I remember when it started to become a problem in terms of the young generation and what they were doing. My friend and I, we were talking, and he was pretty bad on the roads from Southwest London when I was a kid. And he was like, and he does, he speaks to the kids and blah, blah, he goes to different, blah, blah, blah. So he said, he goes, Richard, he goes, people don't realise that when we were kids, we had different forms of urban music, quote unquote, black music, that spoke to us, which means that we didn't have to travel down one single path. There was many. So, like, I remember you had a group called the Demon Boys. Demon Boys were the original hip hop group from Tottenham. Like, a lot of people don't remember certain people because they were a different generation. The Demon Boys, you had the London Posse that was from Junction, and you had the Demon Boys. Those were the two biggest hip hop groups in the early 80s.
And that's North and South.
North and South,
Okay.
right? And they got along,
Yeah.
right? So the Demon Boys, in actual fact, one of the guys who used to rap influenced Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes did an interview where he said, I heard the Demon Boys, and that's where he got his kind of flow from, that kind of Jamaican kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, but they had a track called Don't Touch the Coke, right? And it was like, so they were from the streets, but they were letting people know, like, listen, you might sell your weed, blah, blah, but we don't touch that, right? Do you know what I mean? So the young kids, even though they were hype and they wanted to get involved in certain things, you had certain men like that were saying, yeah, we don't that, but we don't touch that stuff, right? Do you know what I mean? We do certain things there, but we don't do that. So there was still that moral line. And I'm going to bring this forward as to what I'm talking about with the younger generation. It was okay if you wasn't bad, right? Hip hop allowed that. Hip hop, even in America, you had the Daisy Age, De La Soul, Jungle Brothers, blah, blah, that were saying, look, we're not NWA or we're not hard like Public Enemy, even though they were standing up, but they weren't to be messed with. Like Public Enemy at that time, their road guys were real guys, right? Do you know what I mean? That's the reason why they could go to different areas and nobody would trouble them, right? But they were saying, no, we could be over here, we could be a bit more about this and hippie-ish, so to speak, and it's fine. So every hip hop had lanes that were all selling, if that made sense. Don't get me wrong, NWA came out and totally crushed it and was like, no, so everybody started to say, oh, we got to be gangster, which is the reason why Common did the song and he called the song Hip Hop, where he said, hip hop went through this and it went through this, then NWA took it and they turned it into this and this, and it was hard for them to get hip hop back, because it was like, yo, we understand what you're doing, but now everybody feels that they got to be Crip or Blood or gangster, blah, blah. So now we got to try and bring hip hop back to a place where it sells for all the different mediums. Then hip hop went through this age of, instead of selling the drugs, people were taking the drugs, right? I mean, this is kind of coming to recent era where you got people talking about Percocet and blah, blah, like it's cool to take drugs.
Yeah, it's not.
So then you got the kids now going, oh, it's cool to take drugs, when it's like, no, the drug dealers was like, no, we used to sell it, we don't take it, right, blah, blah. So hip hop now, and then the powers that be were like, okay, there's money in that. So yeah, let's push you talking about taking drugs, because that makes your community even more messed up. So I say all that to say that, do you feel that people over here understand the concept of what music does in terms of influence, as much as they should?
I don't think so. I would say we don't. I say that's where the education really needs to come in, and the examples, and the people that want to see a change, supporting that change that they want to see. Low-Key's just made a return to the scene.
Okay.
Right, but he comes from a community that supports his message, and they support the change that he's trying to bring about. I feel like our community, if we had that same ethos, a lot of things would be better. I think even in my generation, you had them elements, because you had Swiss Cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Asher went in jail, and then things were going bad, and then then a couple months down the line, me and Mo was thinking about Mo.
Exactly.
But it was like it was gangster as hell. You know what I'm saying? As in the streets could feel it. You understand? But there was still a message.
Shout out to Swiss.
In it, yeah,
100%.
Then you got Bashy Black Boys.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Then you got Global Faction. This is Black History. Where Carla had Rodney P and Logic and all of them. And then even if you want to go on the gangster side, and I rate this brother so much, and Stanner. If you listen to Stanner, and out of all of the, you know what I'm saying, like when it comes to actual being about and being from and having the, let's say the resume for the roles. A lot of man that rap can't really sit in the same room as him. If you want to talk about resumes, you know what I'm saying, Bowman, you know what I'm saying, and as even as an individual, but in his lyrics, he's always had it, always got some guidance.
Like a Nas.
But this is the thing, I think, Ras, that I feel like oftentimes that responsibility of just being real, Because when I come home from jail, I started going into the schools and doing talks to the youths and so on and so forth. And one of the key things for me was, oftentimes in our community, jail is seen as a rite of passage, yeah, and oftentimes glamorized by rappers and rare. But just the realness is not getting talked. The realness of what's really going on behind the door.
I was talking about that the other day.
You feel what I'm saying? If you want to see big man crying, you'll see them crying in jail. You understand me? But that bit don't get talked about.
I was talking about it the other day because the sister was saying, yeah, I see these guys in jail and they're living nice, you know? They have, you know, phones and they've got different foods and they've got all of these things. They got noodles, you know, noodles and tuna. Imagine that, they got tuna in jail. Imagine that, like, they got tuna, you know what I'm saying? And I was to show her that, look, yeah, this is called a coping mechanism. Yeah, it's called a coping mechanism. Yeah, you're already, like, your brethren just died, your other brethren got ducked down. Yeah, if you go out on the wing and my man comes in, yeah, it could be a scrap. Yeah, you don't know what to expect tomorrow. Yeah, the only little thing you have is a time in your life to show the best you possibly can.
Yeah,
you get it? Because you're not gonna go live and say, "Oh, I'm depressed," and this one's gonna try to beat me up. They're not gonna tell these stories.
Of course.
In order to cope with the actual reality, man's gonna try to make it as good as possible, and then man's gonna promote it and then when man comes out.
Oh, let me cut you there. Let me cut you there. 'Cause it's not all right, because that's spot on. Yeah. But I'm even talking about, you see, when man come home and they start rapping and they make it sound, they're just not being.
Yeah. I definitely hear that. I definitely hear that. Yeah. I feel like people like Mike GLC. Yeah. Okay. If talking like lyrically, he definitely breaks down a lot of them stories and lets man know how it is in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? You let man know about, like, little one's got the 5 on his lap, but you really see my man get clapped. Like, you let man, you know what I'm saying? He let man know the story.
Me and Mike are from the same generation, so me and Mike are veterans.
I can't lie. I came up on like when the heart meets the brain and
don't mess with GLC, man. He's been real from day dot.
I came up on them, and so what I'm saying is, you see, when you get out now, it's like it's just that thin line of not making yourself look like a victim.
Yeah, course.
Okay, yeah? Understood.
You know what I'm saying? Course. It's like that's one of the main reasons why a lot of them, all of them, they rate what we're doing. Come on, you get me? They rate what we're doing, man. Yeah, because they know, like, man are just trying to help the thing. Know, man are living, but at the same time, there's this thing where a man don't want to look soft, like he's trying to squash me. Like, he don't want to have the look. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big issue. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. We care more about, you see, that's the thing. We care more about what it looks like than what it is. Yeah, and that's a big issue. And
that's our own poison, though.
Shout out content over everything, because he points that out. Like, we care more, a lot of the time, when Brother Leon breaks this down properly, we care more about, like, people are caring more about what it looks like. They go to Speaker's Corner and they care about how they look. They create propaganda to care about how they look, but not how it is.
It's a powerful statement.
What about what it is? You know what I'm saying? And this is another reason why, you know, we fully step back from the publicity and even talking about the mission, because I want to make sure that it is 100,000 and then it looks 50. And then it looks up, then it looks better and better. But we have to make sure that it is. And I feel like sometimes it looks better than it is. And there's this whole PR. It's that whole PR word, and it's an important word, making sure things look all good and that, you know what I'm saying? But I think if the effort that you put into making sure things look good, you should put just the same or even more effort into making sure it is.
Yeah, the substance.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And
now, you mentioned Speaker's Corner. Sorry, I can't. The time is going. There's enough. But obviously, you go to Speaker's Corner regular. I've seen enough of the videos on Speaker's Corner. Now, religiously, I feel like religion is also one of the problems in the black community. It creates a us and them. Before I'm a Muslim, before I'm a Christian, before I'm a Rasta man, before I'm anything, I'm black. And if I can see that first,
that's a big conversation.
You go. If I can see that first before I'm anything else, then because I find that in the Jewish community, I find that in the Pakistani Muslim community. All right, so for example, you got Sajid Javid, he's conservative. You got Sadiq Khan, he's Labour. But try and know if both of them needed to sign off on a Muslim school being built, you don't know it's getting signed. They're not getting into the politics of because they are Pakistani Muslims first. Everything else comes afterwards. And I just wish that black people had that kind of communal mindset more. What tends to happen is we start creating labels under Christian, under Muslim, under Nation of Islam, 5% Nation, Rasta, So it just creates pockets of individuals.
It's like a fight to see who's right first.
Yeah. Before you're identifying what you are. So, firstly, you go there in a lot of your lyrics. There's a lot of Islamic, I want to say imagery, but there's a lot of Islamic audio. But you're not a Muslim, or you're not Muslim.
Well, no.
All right.
My understanding of spirituality is a big conversation.
Okay. Okay.
But
You deal with the spectrum.
yeah, how do I explain this, man? For me, the religion is a means to an end. And the religion is there to help you grow spiritually and get to a sense of righteousness. I believe that if in the purest form, all of them lead to the same place. If you're talking about character and how we're meant to carry ourselves and deal with each other, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is probably the main rule that we should all apply, and everything could be all right. That's my genuine belief, and I think there's another debate in which one is right, more right belief-wise. But my personal belief is that is secondary to your intentions, your words, your deeds, and your actions. So my thing is, if your religion can make sure you've got good intentions, your word, deeds, and actions, I believe you're right, and I believe that all of the religions have ways in which you can do that. I grew up around a lot of Muslim brothers and sisters, but I grew up in a Christian household.
Okay.
And there's a lot of Christian imagery. If you listen, there's a lot of reference to the Torah and the Injil as well. But Speaker's Corner itself is there's a big Muslim.
To me, I used to go there back in the day. Now it seems like an outdoor masjid to me now. That's how it seems. And a lot of debate.
But some of the people will say it seems like a outdoor bloody Jamaica.
Really?
When they see us, man, there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because it's like there's much more of us. When we first got there was about 5-6 black people, but since we got there, obviously through the G circles, we brought hundreds, over 1,000 black people.
Okay.
To that park. If you look at the G circle, I think there's about 13, 14 G circles.
Wow.
Each one of them had 50 to 100, 150 people.
Okay.
And we really opened it up to the community. And the rule of the G circle was that regardless of our religious and our political differences, we'll stand in solidarity for the mission.
Wow. Which is exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
So that's the concept of the G circle, which actually is like the nucleus for gang actually hitting the roads and doing the works.
Sorry, because I was going to say, just going back to that, I guess it's what you were saying, because you were saying that you went from Fields to Broadwater, which there was a time where the two, you couldn't do that.
100%.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously,
even now there might be little tensions, I think. I don't know.
Exactly. So the fact that you could do that.
Hackney and you know how the thing is,
So like, if that could be something that even with time where the solidarity comes, and it's like, even though we understand that the core beef is real, you know, I never take away from that because I understand it. But at the same time, it's like not making the next generation grow up into that.
100%.
Do you understand what I mean? Because my son, as I said, my son's from Hackney, so I was in Hackney when it was rife, when it was really real, when it was really happening, and certain shootings were really happening. It was like, you know, and when it kind of started, to be fair. So to see it like nearly 20 years on, because now my son's 18, nearly 20 years on, where it can reach a point where you're saying there's solidarity, because I think that's what we need. Because also, I don't want to take it all the way back because I think we covered it, but like when you have postcode beefs and blah blah, it's like, for me, it really, I mean, it's horrible because a life is a life, but at the same time, it's like your parents, that's where they had to live. It's not, they didn't have a choice. If they were lower working class, they were put into this environment, so you just ended up being here.
100%.
Do you understand what I mean?
They're basically beefing for the postman.
There you go.
Yeah.
And not just that, just...
what I've got a lyric where it says, if I was born on the other side, them man there would have been my G's.
Exactly.
So basically what it's saying is, if you was born, let's say, That's whoever we're gonna use. Wood Green, Tottenham.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you was born in, if you're Wood Green right now, you're Tottenham right now, and you're beefing the other side. If they decided to put your mum in Wood Green instead,
Exactly.
That's it.
Your best friend is the person you would be at odds with. And that's why it's self-hate, because we're literally fighting with ourselves. And one of the best metaphors I use to try and describe it is, if you wake up in the morning and you was to see yourself, what would happen?
That's actually really good.
Yeah. So if you was to see yourself, would you be the kind of person that says, well, go on, brother, bless brother? You know the black man's nod?
Yeah.
We need to bring that back. We need to bring that back. Yeah, come on, brother. We need to bring that
the
back.
black man's nod.
Yeah, come on. You get me? From the buses. You can see a black man's walking down the road and you're on the bus and everyone's waving like it's, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day, it's like you just see a family member. But the thing is, when you go to our countries, if you can go to Caribbean, you can go to Jamaica, you can go Gambia in Africa. Yeah. That is how we live.
100%.
That's just a normal part of life. This London thing where everyone just and everyone's screw facing and no one doesn't look at each other on the train. This is a UK mentality. This is an individualistic.
I think it's a Western Hemisphere mentality.
We've got a community thing where you go, bless up, auntie. You've never seen a woman before,
Yeah, that's all right though, because she's on.
She auntie. Bless up.
Yeah, it's true.
You understand?
Very true.
So it's literally embedded in our culture, and in this culture, those are the elements that we're losing.
Yeah.
You understand? And as we lose those elements, we lose ourselves. So instead of doing the nod, what's happening now is there's the tension of the screw face. Now you got, even me growing up, I used to be homeless, 12, 13, and I lived all over, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you had to learn icebreakers. Because you'd be in the next man's ends and there's this just natural tension. So icebreakers is stuff like, you got a lighter, cuz?
Okay.
Yeah, what you man got herbs? What herbs you man got? Yeah, these are called icebreakers, yeah?
Okay, yeah.
And the youths will be wise to execute them because it breaks the tension. Because if that icebreaker doesn't happen, there could be the question of, oh, Wagwan, where you from?
Yeah.
And then the response of, blood, what do you mean, where am I from?
Yeah.
You ask him where I'm from, and then boom, it's going down a whole new road where it didn't have to go. If you just asked for a light, it might have just been used to smoking. You know what I'm saying? So it's real life. So it's like, when I'm looking at this situation on the roads and if you was to see yourself, it's either you're going to see yourself and you're going to say Wagwan, you're going to have a good reasoning, or you're going to say Wagwan blood, and then you're going to say back to yourself Wagwan blood. And if you got a tool, you're going to draw for your tool, and you're going to draw for your tool, and you're going to kill yourself right at the same time. Yeah. Because your mentality is to hate yourself when you see yourself. So yeah, that is definitely a big part to play. Just the natural walking down the road and being able to engage with each other. You know what I'm saying?
I think speaking to you now, you can speak to you for hours, right?
100.
And
gotta come back.
No. But it's very important for the show because, as I say, we want to make sure that we have people like yourselves, that the people know, people respect, right? Speak, because right now you never know who you just spoke to. And that analogy you gave right at the end in terms of when you see yourself, what would you do? I don't think you could get better than that. Does that make sense?
Powerful.
But where can the people reach you? That's Jason's questions normally, but where can people reach you, like the social media forum or like Speaker's Corner? Where can they reach you to get more insight?
So basically, you have Raspect Official on the Instagram. I've slowed down big time on the Instagram socials. I've actually moved over to the YouTube. You have Raspect Official on YouTube, but you actually have Raspect Rebellion now, which is a whole new concept that I've probably been working on for the last maybe 6 months. I started the channel, started live streaming. I created one of the only open online platforms on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
So basically, it's just a platform where I go live and anyone can come on. So basically, I could debate with, someone who sounds like he's an extremist Christian or extremist Muslim, because you've got extremist Christians as well.
Of course.
Yeah. And KKK are some of them. Then you could, it could be some Zionists who, or you could have, some, we could be discussing, anyone can come on, KKK, EDO, and the reason why I created it like that, because people say, a lot of the criticisms I get from the community is, we want to just deal with our issues, we want to just close it off. But there's other live stream platforms that are for that. The reason why I created mine my way is because I want to be able to be challenged and know that I've got truth.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I keep myself in a closed environment with people that agree with me, I might get a false sense of stability or a false sense of, you know, when you get that full sense of courage, and then I'll be on the BBC and someone says something and then now I'm thrown off.
to left,
I don't even know what I want.
Yeah.
So, but the platform's actually building very well. Sometimes you have comedy, sometimes you have jokes, sometimes you have knowledge, sometimes you have presentations. So it can go anywhere. And it started out on the Raspect Official. Unfortunately, due to some sabotage, that one got shut down. And I started a new one called Raspect Rebellion. It's been open for 2 months and I just hit 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, good.
I've
get more.
literally been doing like 24-hour shows, 36-hour shows. So literally I'll run an 8-hour show. And then at the end of that show, the conversation's so popping that the people in the comments like, are you doing another one? You know what I'm saying? So then boom, I've got to do a next one. And then I might go sleep when, you know, let's say Karnain and Ezra, Hebrew and Muslim, when they start debating, I know that's going to go on for a little while, so I can go sleep, and then I wake up at the end of the stream and then catch it, get a next one for them. I might go out while that one's running, and do you know what I'm saying? So, it's literally, it's all organic. It's literally, I just literally went live, and it's going where it's going, but that's a big part of what man's creating right now, and that's going to be a big thing that we can use. And there's also other people that live streaming, Jedi's live streaming, Scattered Minds, content over everything. So when it's time, we can direct all of that traffic over to Gang Unite TV, and then we can actually, you know, push out. So I started out with like 40 people. Now we hit like 80, 150, 300. So it's raising due to the work rate. And when it's time, we'll be able to, you know, highlight things in the community and be able to actually do stuff based upon the, you know, use it as a, let's say, a planning or a brainstorming, and then actually go out and execute it, and then come back and show the people, and then carry on that cycle. That's the vision I've got in my head right now. So that's probably the main place to find me. Raspect Rebellion, and yeah, we see where it goes.
Come on.
Pasta.
My brother, I'm so glad you came through, my brother. Trust me, love what you're doing.
Come on, my brother.
Come on, definitely got to come back.
I love the whole setup, man. I love the whole thing, man. Yeah,
Wanna make you feel at home.
Conversation, yeah, man.
Nice,
big up
important.
yourselves, man. Big up yourselves, family.
God bless,
and
man.
enough love for the invite, man. I'm humbled.
No. Well, you're coming back.
Yeah,
That's all we know.
definitely,
You're coming back.
definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's one thing we was talking about as well, is that we got to make sure we get our people in, but they also come back, because that's what people need to see.
Yeah.
They need to see that, okay, this thing is a living, breathing entity. Do you know what I mean? And you want people to watch and go, I want to be on there because I've got something to say.
100%.
So we're trying to reach out. So it starts with us.
This is your platform, man.
Yeah.
This is your platform.
Yeah,
This is your
yeah, this is
platform.
home now.
Doors
This is home.
open, man. Trust me.
I got 100% vouch from Raspect Fyabinghi, you get me?
Yeah.
Like, for the culture every time. Big up the man, them.
love.
Family.
You're
Enough,
going to sign it. You sign it off. You sign it. Because I always sign it off.
We're for the culture, we're for the culture, we're for the culture. Raspect Official, yeah? You done know. So glad that you could come through. Keep it locked to For the Culture. Matter of fact, if For the Culture TV is not on your YouTube,
Something
your
wrong, innit?
computer's probably not switched
Something
on.
wrong. Switch it on.
Peace.